1239, Bach started to compile a great collection of organ chorales. He just ended another one he just had printed, the so-called dritter Teil der Klavierübung. And then he started immediately after that, so we believe today, collecting the great 18 chorales, or the great Leipziger chorales. From 39 to 41, he wrote down the first 13 numbers, the first 13 chorales, and then there must have been some kind of break. He had other things to do. And 46 and 47, he wrote the next two, number 14 and number 15. Then we have a change in the manuscript, because suddenly there's another writer, and that is his son-in-law, Johann Christoph Altnikol, also his student or his pupil, who wrote the two next chorales. And then a strange thing, because then we have certainly another work, so we say today the so-called canonic variations are the next Vom Himmel hoch, the variations on Vom Himmel hoch. And after that, then the so-called final chorale, we say, Vor deinen Thron trete ich hier mit. The canonic variations are in the hand of Bach himself, and that's actually a later version of the printed work that we know. And the last chorale is not written by him. It's written by another scribe, and we don't know who it is. It's a copyist that's well known from the last period of Bach's life, but who it is, we are not sure. It's a fragment. We only have 25.5 bars of this last chorale. In the Kunst der Fuge, we have it as the last chorale that was put there after Bach's death, and of course we have an early version of the chorale in the Orgelbüchlein. It's an absolute fascinating collection. We don't know if it's really finished. Of course, the last chorale was apparently written at the very end of Bach's life. Maybe he conceived the whole collection to be like this. Maybe he wanted to add more. We don't know. I spoke about the different handwritings in the manuscript that we have, and it's actually quite obvious that the last chorale written by Bach, which is the first of the two Jesus Christus unser Heiland, is very typically his handwriting. And then we have the next one, which is written by Johann Christoph Altnikol. And you can see a different way of writing, a different way of having the lines and the whole, how it looks, how it seems, everything. Then again we have, this is also by Johann Christoph Altnikol, and then we have Vom Himmel hoch, which is by Bach himself. Again, a quite different writing by himself. And then a complete change to the last chorale that we have today, Vor deinen Thron trete ich hier mit, which unfortunately breaks off here, that we only have 25.5 bars of this in this manuscript. But also here you can see it's not Bach's own handwriting, it's definitely different from the handwriting of the immediately before canonic variations on Vom Himmel hoch. And there's a wonderful title, because actually the collection does not have a title page, but after Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach's death, we find a list of works left by him, and there's this collection by his father. And the title here is Some 20 Chorale Preludes. So, ungefähr 20 chorale preludes. And this is the only title that we have, not a especially, you could say, fascinating title. But is it actually 18 great chorales, as we called them for many years, or is it actually 17, plus the canonic variations, plus an extra chorale? Or is it 13 written in the hand by Bach, or 15 written in the hand by Bach, and then 2 by another copyist, Altnikol? It's not really worth numbering, but it's worth noticing, and it's worth maybe calling the chorales the great Leipzig chorales. But also that can be a little bit doubtful, because actually all of the chorales are revisions of earlier works. So we have up to 4 different versions of one chorale. And two of the chorales are as early as Orgelbüchlein. The last one, for deinem Thron, is actually Wenn wir in höchsten Nöten sein, a revision of that one from the Orgelbüchlein. And also the number 17, Komm Gott Schöpfer, Heiliger Geist, is an enlarged version of the Orgelbüchlein, simple version. So it's an absolutely fascinating collection with very different forms and expressions. We have 3 trios, we have 3 sarabands, we have 3 chorales with an ornamented soprano, we have 3 chorales with a tenor en taille, you could say tenor cantus firmus, and we have one little set of chorales just like in the Klavierübung with a big pedaliter version and a small manualiter version. So it is to me as if Bach has been collecting all kind of different types and styles of chorales that he had ever worked with, and that he wanted to, at the end of his life, to collect this and put them together in an absolute fascinating collection of works. Some of the most beautiful pieces I know.